Hey traders, TG Watkins here. It's November 30th when I'm recording this. Hope you guys are all doing well. And I just want to show you, I got some pretty cool things that we're going to be talking about with the Moxie Indicator today that I think if you guys have not seen this before, you're going to be like, wow, that's actually pretty neat that this indicator can do this. If you guys have been watching me for a while, then again, here are some things that I'm going to be showing you as to why the Moxie Indicator works and how it shows you some good detail and good timing and what to do about that. So if you guys are interested, you can always pick up the indicator at StockCharts or at Simpler Trading and for either platform, and over at Thinkorswim Trading View. So be sure to come over here to simplertrading.com/Moxie, and let's get into it. So first thing I want to show you, we just kind of talk about the overall breadth of the market. And we kind of talked about this last week, showing that the 20-day, the number of stocks over the 20-day SMA was pretty much at the top. It doesn't go much further than 90% of stocks are over their 20-day SMA. That's about everything. And so when you get up there, it's kind of hard for everything to keep going. And it can sustain for a while, but we do tend to run out of some energy and, pull back at some point. So that's kind of what I'm seeing from that one. As far as everything else, it has been very nice, very consistent. We've had a very, very steady move to the upside. But, it's probably due for some sort of pullback correction, something to that extent. And that's what we're seeing here. And then we can look over here, new highs, new lows. It's been doing very well. We've been seeing an increasing number of new highs as the market has been moving up. So that is supportive and everything is fantastic on that side. So let's kind of dive into the market and see what we're looking at. And coming from this side with the S&P, we've just been really overbought. We've just been up here outside of that third ATR, floating off the AEMA. Yeah, it's just been up there. So at some point we're going to start slowing down, which has been happening. We haven't really been going up. We've been going sideways. And what I don't know is if, how bad is this correction be, or how bad is the pullback going to be? Are we going to just drop really hard and it's going to take a lot of things with it? Or is this going to just kind of go sideways to down and dip underneath the moving averages and then kind of come back up in a nicer fashion? It might be a mix of the two, a couple big down days, some sideways action, something like that. But we could use a bit of a refresher through here. We are starting to impinge upon the hourly 50, which makes sense. That's what I've been looking for. And this is what really has been standing out to me is if you look over the last week and a half, that the 15-minute Moxie indicator has been basically operating below zero. And that's telling us that there's just not much upward momentum available because, just all that is below zero. So that's kind of what we've been seeing in through here. And then the NASDAQ looks the same, just a little bit higher, but I did want to show the IWM because this one does look different. And part of the thing we can do is come over here to the monthly and the weekly. And I know that what we're looking at and through here is that if we see here on the monthly chart, we do have price possibly running into the underside of the monthly 10. Now, that's only if that's actually going to happen. Otherwise, we give it some time and maybe it can start getting back on top just like it did here and just like it did here. So I'm very interested to see if that can happen. I was looking for this area on the IWM to hold. Basically, you get over the moving average and then you come back down, you hold it, and then you go. Well, it didn't happen. And on the daily chart, basically came down and just kept going down. We're like, okay, so no long trades. We just skipped it. So no big deal. But the other thing to notice is it just won't break lower. And now we've bounced back up again. And so now I'm wondering if are we going to try it again? And if we do try it again to the upside, it won't be from here. I think it's going to have to come down just a little bit to retest that support and then go up. Let me show you what I think that looks like on the daily and hourly chart. So in through here, what I tend to see is the 200 is going to be some resistance. We've made a really good run. It's been like this for a month. We've seen it with the whole market. And the IWM also needs to take a break. And it tends to take a break right around here at the 200. Now, I think the first situation is that we could see price come down to the daily 21, and then we'll have to see if that was enough for the market to go up. Otherwise, if it comes down to the 21, it might come down to the 50, and then we'll have to see if that is enough in order for the market to go back up. But right here, right now, it's just, yes, price continues to stay over the hourly 50, but it just seems like this would be, I don't know, challenging to go up like this. It certainly could. I'm definitely not shorting anything. I'm just trying to see if the market is going to give us an opportunity, like a dip opportunity. If it doesn't, If what it really just wants to do is just go sideways for a while and then continue up, okay, fine. We'll see names that are responding and doing well for that, and then we could just jump on it again after that, looking for the rest of the names. But I want to see if we get a pullback. If we do, fantastic. If we don't, then great. Maybe we'll just we'll fix it with time as opposed to price. The other thing that we can do is if we look at Amazon, and this is where I was talking about, you know, the power of the Moxie indicator. Look what just fired today. So right there we got a Moxie price trigger. Isn't that pretty good? That basically was at the top of this move. And you can see we've started to break the hourly 50. Now I know you can say that we've broken the hourly 50 2 other times, but this is very different. Look at the 15-minute time frame. You can see here how price was getting guided down by the 15-minute 50, and notice the Moxie indicator is definitely below zero. So this is a trend change, at least for now. You know, again, I think we're going to get a pullback. I wouldn't be shorting this unless you're very short-term trading, but I just think that we're waiting for this to kind of reset, refresh, come down, find some support, and then we'll see if it can go again. And then if we look at Adobe, same thing. What did we get today? Moxie price trigger. And you can see that the 15-minute time frame looks awfully similar, and same thing with the Moxie indicator below zero. So this was really just a matter of time. I was talking to those in the options room over here at Simpler Trading, all the way back here, saying, you know, hey, this has been a great stock. If you're in it, great. Keep riding it. Set your stop, move your stops up. But if you're looking to get in, unless you're going to do some short-term trading, trying to get in right here, it's not the place. It's just not the good place to get in. And you can see that's why. Now we're down here. So I don't know how far it's going to go down, but I'm happy that it is, because that means that if you're interested in stuff like this, it's going to be giving us opportunities to get in. You can see the same thing with Microsoft. What did we get today with Microsoft? Another Moxie price trigger. So they're all starting to flash these signals, and it's really just been kind of overdue. We've been waiting for this stuff. The NASDAQ, the S&P, and all, they're all needing to pull back, and so that's what we should be doing. Now, let me show you another interesting thing. If you look at GBTC, which is the ETF for Bitcoin, and I'm just going to use it as a proxy, whether people like that or not, and what I found to be interesting, and this is where the Moxie indicator has a two-part rule. Bitcoin really actually pushed up through here. It kind of got excessive, and it just kept going, which was awfully impressive, but made me get really, really nervous about really wanting to trade it up here. So if you notice, here's where the Moxie indicator crossed below zero, just like I've been showing you on Amazon and Microsoft and stuff like that. And you're like, well, hey, why did this thing keep going up? Well, it's because it's the stock market. Things can push further than you think, but I have answers for that. So there's a two-part rule for the Moxie indicator if you're going to exit or go short. It's number one, the Moxie indicator needs to be below zero, which in this case it is, and I'll note that it is staying below zero. The other part of the rule is that price needs to be below the 50 SMA. Notice how we only got one of those things. We only got the Moxie indicator below zero. The rest, price actually managed to stay, and right there continued to bounce off of the hourly 50. So it did not fulfill the two-part rule yet. I think that it is starting to, though. I have a feeling that this is going to be the beginning. You know, everything else is starting to pull back, and this thing is just like too long in the tooth. And this is what I then call an inverse trampoline move. Price should not be over the 50. Up here, price should not be over the 50 if the Moxie indicator is below zero. And yes, they can push for a while, but at some point, the Moxie indicator does tend to catch up to this. And again, this thing has been pushing like crazy. So it's just very, very extended. And if we look at here on the monthly and weekly, I mean, just look how vertical that is. Does that seem like a very safe place to try to get long? I would say no. And in fact, it looks like just a larger version of these other two tops where we got price to pull back fairly handily. So yeah, as far as Bitcoin, I'd be very careful about it. We've been seeing some moves like Mara, but again, you know, Mara kind of had a breakout here as it finally was able to hold the hourly 50, but right here would not be the greatest place. And the other thing that's been very interesting about the cryptocurrencies is that, really the crypto miners or the crypto sphere, is that if we look at Coin's done great, which was pretty impressive. So it did well, it based nicely, and then just took off. Okay, so that did really, really well. But then we have Mara, which was kind of second best. And then maybe we even had CLSK, maybe it was like that's the second best, Mara was third best. And then we had IREN, did also pretty well. That was on earnings. But then we start getting into the rest of them. We get Riot, nah, not doing so great. And then we have HUT, also not doing so great. Then we have HIVE, not very great. And so I see a lot of these other things that are related to it, and I'm like, there's a mixed field of what's going on out there, and so it just makes me a little bit hesitant because you don't know which one's going to do well. Maybe you thought HIVE or HUT were going to have great setups, and they went nowhere, and it turned out to be CLSK and Mara and a little bit of Riot, and so that makes it difficult to really pick which in the field are going to go. You could look at doing Bitcoin ETFs if that's going to help, but at this point, I would look at the ones that did well, and I think that they're pretty much topped out, and they could use a bit of a pullback. The other thing, kind of on these notes, I've been looking at XOP. I put a video out just kind of talking about the possibility of seeing like this. So far, still nothing has kicked in. XOP does have this double bottom. Here's your double bottom, a little bit of divergence here and more divergence here. If we look at that, and you can see Moxie price trigger, but nothing has triggered. Remember when I was just talking about Bitcoin and saying, hey, you need that two-part rule. Well, you need a two-part rule for the long side too. So notice we do have the Moxie indicator over 0, but we don't have price over the 50 yet. So it's the same rule, just turned around for long or short. Now, it seems like something's happening. As I said, it seems something like this is really getting wedged, and the Moxie indicator is above 0. So just like I was kind of thinking that Bitcoin should be pulling back, it does kind of look like XOP should be moving up. It just hasn't triggered yet. So I don't want to do anything quite yet. And the same thing here with USO. We're trying to figure out if this is going to hold. We can see some positive divergence kicking up in here. And it's gotten over the hourly 50, but hasn't quite held yet. I need to see if this is going to return one more time. If this comes back above the hourly 50, I might be a little bit more inclined. And if it does get there, then it's going to have to continue to stay above there and follow the hourly 50 to the upside. All right, guys, so that's a few things of what I'm looking at and looking for over the next few days. Until the next time I see you, hope you guys are doing well, and we'll catch you later. Thanks again.